Hey, Guaglione! What in the cornudo is the meaning of this? This Keck you're throwing my way? You got the nerve to bring me this schifezza? You look me in the eye and honestly expect me, to buy into this load of sciocchezzi? I ain't no pazzo, see? I've been around the block a few times. I know when someone's trying to pull a fast one. So spill it, and you better make it good, capisci? Because my patience, like my temper, ain't something you want to test.
Mr. Falcone, allow me to clarify my position. Indeed, I do expect you to understand the veracity of this matter. However, recognizing your potential skepticism, perhaps a more tangible illustration would be beneficial. Therefore, Mr. Falcone, I would invite you to reach for the Beretta M418 concealed on your person. Please, proceed at your discretion.
Falcone then pulls from his ankle the concealed handgun, and then... a deafening pop is heard echoing through the expansive library. He vigorously fires as empties the magazine on Keck. Stunned, all guests, myself included, hit the ground. After some time, I began to lift my head, hoping enough time had transpired to let the smoke clear. I turn to my right and see that Nick had somehow decided to take cover behind a window curtain, and somehow had managed to not spill an ounce of brandy in the process. I just shook my head at thinking he not at all understands the differences between cover and well-concealment. As we all made slowly emerge back to our feet, the British general was the first to speak, his voice booming.
Falcone, what is the meaning of this, sir?
Relax, pal. Relax. No more bullets. You see, unless you count the ones in Keck. Ha 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 ha!
Did you at all happen to digest what all that man was saying? Well, sir, I'd feel better if that firearm was secured with me.
Take it, pal, it useless without the pow-pow bullets!
It appeared Keck was in fact dead. His body was sprawled out on the floor with a noticeable pool of blood fast forming.
Now, folks, let's get out of this shithole.
Just as we began our trudging to the library doors, we froze, only to then turn around to see Keck standing just as he had moments before, minus the bullet holes and well blood.
You see, ladies and gentlemen, I have just traversed space and time, where well you all have not. And I now am, well, myself, 5 minutes before this incident occurred. I retain, of course, all of my memories. Just jump back a bit to, well, where I am still upright, am not mortally wounded.
Keck's hands gesture, affirming the lack of gunshot wounds.
What kind of parlor trick is this? I just shot you to ribbons.
Indeed you did, sir. Not at all a kind gesture, if I may I say so, but expected from, well, you. You are in fact right, though. As you so put it, shot me to ribbons. That is why I now present to you myself prior no worse for wear.
I then looked down to find his dead body, gone. Keck casually exited the library, leaving us to ponder what madness we had found ourselves in. Then the Japanese man in the sharp suit, who up till this moment had remained quiet, spoke.
そうですね。My name is Ishikawa Kenzo と申します。I, as many of you do not plan on having my life pulled by the strings of another, I suggest, if I have your godui, that we put our heads together and find a way to escape back to our various times.
What's this guy jabbering about? I don't need to listen to him. I just shot the shit out of him and it did nothing.
Shikashi sonomeni, I think it necessary to go around and tell of ourselves and what year each one of us is from, in the hopes that may aid in our dashutsu. If you don't mind, I will start. I come from Japan in the year 1802, when the Tokugawa Bakufu ruled our land. I am a bushi or samurai, part of the buk, those who serve.
Oh well, I will go next. And if you don't already know, I am Beatrice Sterling. Yes, the one and only to Sterling Steel. And I'm from 1922.
Indeed, Mr. Ishikawa's assessment aligns with my own. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Professor Gilbert Marsh, and I believe my particular expertise may be of some assistance in our current predicament. Until our current circumstances arose, I held a professorship at Berkeley, following a tenure at Oxford. My work with a certain Dr. Keck began in 1943, when I was approached by representatives of the U.S. Navy to consult on matters concerning electromagnetic fields. This led me to a laboratory situated near the port in Philadelphia. It was there that Dr. Keck and I crossed paths. Dr. Keck and I frequently found ourselves at odds. His approach was reckless. He consistently pushed the boundaries, often with devastating consequences. Tragically, many of the servicemen and engineers involved in the project perished in a truly horrific manner. You see, a number of the individuals aboard the Eldridge became conjugated to the very structure of the vessel. Yes, they were fused to the ship's hull. Some were partially integrated, remaining alive but inextricably bound at a molecular level, making any attempt at removal impossible. Others, regrettably, met a swift end.
Then, sir, let me ask you a question. How is it Keck doesn't recognize you?
While our direct encounters have been few, much of our professional friction played out through the more impersonal channels of mailed correspondence and telegraph. Therefore, given his awareness of your group, it strikes me as improbable that he remains ignorant of these aspects of my past involvement. I surmise this current situation stems perhaps from an excessive zeal on his part, coupled with a measure of lingering resentment. To bring me here, it feels pointed, almost as if to showcase his advancements to underscore my past failures, perhaps even as a form of retribution.
How, in fact, is Keck triggering the device?
Dr. Keck's apparent circumvention of established physical laws necessitates the postulation of a highly sophisticated and precisely controlled energy projection system. We must, therefore, consider the existence of a discrete conduit, a physical artifact capable of channeling and modulating this energy with remarkable precision. The theoretical underpinnings of Dr. Keck's apparent success appears to be rooted in the ambitious framework of Einstein's unified field theory. And while Einstein's lifelong pursuit of a comprehensive theory unifying all fundamental forces of nature ultimately remained incomplete, the conceptual groundwork laid the theoretical possibility for manipulating the very fabric of space-time through the strategic deployment of electromagnetic fields, suggesting anomalies ranging from altered visibility to purported spatiotemporal distortions. And the subsequent decision by the Navy to discontinue such research underscores the inherent risks and the nascent understanding of the underlying physics at the time. However, Dr. Keck's current capabilities suggest a profound leap beyond theoretical speculation and failed experiments into the realm of tangible application. The capacity to seemingly manipulate fundamental forces, gravity, electromagnetism, it is a logical inference that this mechanism would manifest as a portable artifact, consistently within Dr. Keck's immediate possession. Consequently, the pocket watch that he habitually carries warrants particular scrutiny. It presents itself not merely as a convenient accessory, but as a highly probable locus for the generation, modulation, and directional projection of this anomalous energy. Its constant physical proximity to Dr. Keck would facilitate the sustained and precise application of these extraordinary capabilities, allowing for the seemingly effortless manipulation of the environment we are currently witnessing.
What is his ultimate goal?
That, my friends, is a bit trickier to speculate. Einstein's unified field theory was an attempt to unify the two major fields of physics at the time, and Keck has seemingly dedicated his life to developing a theory that could encompass both gravity and the other fundamental forces. But to answer your question, sir, the concepts were in the hopes to advance technologies. Cathode ray televisions, potential development of radar guns, a mechanism called a global positioning system. Minus cathode ray, the rest were all theoretical. And to Keck's purposes, I can only surmise that his purpose are for, his own deranged amusement.
I chime in. Well, us four are from 1996, and well, radar guns and global positioning systems, what we call just GPS, are a thing. We don't have time travel, though.
My friend, this helps because it can only mean two things, both of which could be true or neither. Nonetheless, either Keck between now and then has been stopped, or rather Keck has withheld this to the public. But for us, only one is relevant. To stop him.
And so a plan developed. Marsh focused on the mechanics of quantum things none of us understood, and us all focused on obtaining the watch and restraining Keck.
Okay, so we snagged this pocket watch. Then what? Are you well capable of getting us back to you know, our neck of the woods?
I assure you, Mr. Falcone, if you can get that watch, that conduit, I can get you all home. Please do keep your eyes peeled for Manor staff.
So this Keck character, he can be killed, right? We just need to take his damn pocket watch. First things first! Let's get this Japanese samurai a goddamn sword.
Falcone accompanied the samurai to the suit of armor in the Great Hall.
Now, pal, I know this isn't what you're used to. But as my pops would say, it will kill! Ha 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 ha!
Thank you, sir, it will do just fine. And as my father would say, guard the keenness of your edge, the readiness of your hand, and kill all foes dead.
I like yours, I think, better, pal. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Nick turns to me.
Dude, that's the line from Casablanca. What, is everybody in here just casually dropping movie lines? Even from films that haven't yet been made where they're from?
Dude, just go with it. I'm sure you're just... well, it's probably a pretty common phrase somewhere. Maybe that's why the movie picked it up.
Fine, then if that's the going thing here, then try this one out for size. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Good execution, but bad timing, really not the moment. Plus, our literal existence is on the line. Chris and his brother took up the lower levels of the manor. The remaining were paired and spread out through the remaining areas of the vast manor. Marsh focused on the mechanics of quantum things none of us understood, frantically scratching out equations on cocktail napkins. And us all, we focused on obtaining the watch and restraining Keck. Our plan was based upon a few key principles. Stealth and timing. For if Keck got wind that something was amiss, presumably a reset would transpire. And so the British couple would act as a lookout as well as a rouse. Beatrice Sterling would entangle the head steward in conversation, which she was very astute. Nick raised his flashlight again, his hand shaking slightly as we made our way to the cellar of the Keck Manor. Upon our arrival to the underbelly of the vast manor, suddenly the floor beneath us vibrated violently. The lights flickered erratically, plunging the cellar into momentary darkness before sputtering back to life.
What was that, dude?
Nick exclaimed, his eyes wide with alarm. The air in the chamber grew heavy, charged with an unseen energy. I could feel a strange pressure building, a distortion in the very fabric of the room. Something was terribly wrong. We cautiously made our way down one of the many hallways in the basement, finally approaching a steel-reinforced door. I slowly turned the doorknob, and the steel door gave way. Chris and I exchanged a panicked glance as the foggy air in the vast room cleared. The humming of the machinery intensified, then our eyes took in our surroundings. The vast subterranean chamber was shrouded in a dim light. The air felt heavy with the silence of ages, broken only by the hum of unseen machinery. The overall look appeared to evoke in us a 1920s industrial feel, weighty metal, riveted structures, and perhaps a touch of arcane science. The walls were constructed from dark, aged concrete and thick iron plating, stretching into the unseen depths of the room, hinting at the immense scale of this underground space. Pipes, thick as a man's torso, snake across the ceiling and down the walls, their joints secured with large, prominent rivets. Occasional, bare incandescent bulbs, encased in protective metal cages with a distinctly vintage design, casted weak, yellowish pools of light, leaving much of the room swallowed by shadow. Then we noticed them. Lining the walls were a series of pod-like structures. These weren't sleek and futuristic, but rather possessed a more cumbersome, almost steampunk quality. They appeared to be crafted from heavy, dark metal, perhaps with thick glass or a similar material forming the front viewing panels. Each pod was illuminated from within by a soft, ethereal glow, just strong enough to reveal its, occupant. My stomach turned as I glanced at Nick, who equally was perplexed and horrified. Inside the vertical chambers, figures from various epochs of history were suspended in what appeared to be a state of paused animation. There was one to our left, which held a figure in what looked to be ancient Roman attire. He stood motionless, a serene expression on his face. Beside him, a person in the elegant, flowing garments of maybe the Renaissance was frozen mid-gesture. Further down the line, someone in the sharp, tailored suit of the early 20th century stood perfectly still, a thoughtful look in their eyes. The juxtaposition of these figures, seemingly plucked from different timelines and held in stasis within these archaic-looking pods, created a profound sense of horror within us.
Dude, take a look at the floor.
We need to tell the group.
It looks as if whatever Keck uses some contraption to transport the people. See these marks on the floor. This is insane.
Leading me to believe that Keck planned for us all to end up here.
I'm not ending up in this guy's messed up museum.
Maybe a living museum of individuals from all days past, as an amusing venue for him? I had no clue. The overall feeling was one of forgotten technology, a secret laboratory or storage facility hidden deep beneath Keck Manor, where time itself seems to have been suspended along with its inhabitants. The dim lighting and the sheer scale of the room amplified the strangeness of the scene we were witnessing, leaving us with a sense of awe and a multitude of unanswered questions about the purpose of this place. After our exploration of the lower levels, we froze. Falcone and the samurai were in the midst of a confrontation with Manor staff. Falcone, surprisingly agile for his size, swung a hefty chair leg like a Louisville slugger, connecting with a solid thwack against the jaw of a uniformed Manor staff member who'd lunged at him with surprising ferocity. The man crumpled to the ornate Persian rug with a groan. Beside him, the samurai moved with a fluid grace that belied the heavy medieval sword he wielded. The polished steel flashed as he parried a clumsy swing from another staff member wielding a fireplace poker, then with a swift, brutal stroke, disarmed and incapacitated his opponent.
Didn't peg you for a brawler, pal.
Falcone grunted, wiping sweat from his brow with the back of his hand. The samurai simply inclined his head, his gaze unwavering as he scanned their surroundings. Another pair of staff members, their eyes glazed with an unsettling blankness, charged towards them. Falcone roared, hefting the chair leg again. They moved as a surprisingly effective unit. Falcone's brute strength and improvised weapon kept the closer attackers at bay, while the samurai's precise movements and lethal blade dealt with those who managed to slip past. The clash of chair leg against bone, the hiss of the sword through the air, and the grunts of exertion echoed through the opulent hallway, a stark contrast to the manor's otherwise silent grandeur. We slipped by the melee and headed to Marsh as he methodically navigated the dimly lit library.
Anything?
Marsh whispered, his hand trailing along a shelf. We got a problem, Professor. There's a bit of a battle going on in the hall. I think Falcone and the samurai are handling it. Oh yeah, there's something else. Something we came across during our panning out of the manor. Not sure how to say this, but
Speak, son, what is it?
His eyes shoot up from his work. Well, we searched the cellar, and we found something. Something hard to, explain.
Try, please. Go on.
We came across a large room with, something strange. Metal pods with, people inside of them, They look as if they're sleeping or frozen. His eyes sharpen.
Antiquary? An agglomeration?
Lots of them. And the people appear to be from, well, all different periods in time. The professor paused, taking on a look of deep thought.
Well, friends, it appears Keck has been putting people in a state of hibernation or cryosleep. But it's a debated concept in scientific research. Suspended animation. An oubliette of suspended individuals from various points in time. A living museum, perhaps? Well, this horrifying discovery does not change our plans. Let me think on this and finalize all for the retrieval of the conduit. Well, this library, many of the books, they're journals. Keck's journals, I think. The handwriting is the same. He writes about temporal mechanics, experiments, the watch. It's all here, but it's incredibly dense, almost ritualistic. Almost. I am just taking a look at his theories, calculations, and some disturbing passages about the nature of time itself. He sees it not as a linear progression, but as something malleable, something to be shaped and controlled.
We headed to the young couple, Liam and Olivia, who were carefully making their way through a lavishly decorated sitting room. Olivia clutched a small antique map they'd found, her finger tracing a route. Liam approached the tapestry slowly, his hand outstretched.
According to this, there might be a service tunnel behind that tapestry.
As he reached the tapestry, he pushed a section of the wall which slid silently open, revealing a dark, narrow passage. Before we could react, a pair of Manor staff members emerged from the tunnel, their faces set in grim determination.
Going somewhere?
One of them sneered, brandishing a heavy candelabra. Liam shoved us all back.
Stay behind me.
Olivia hesitated for a moment, fear etched on her face.
Run, I'll hold them off. Go now.
Then nodded and disappeared into the shadows of the sitting room, clutching the map tightly. Liam braced himself, ready to face the oncoming attackers.
Cambridge Greco, 2-time champion, my friends. I'll handle these bloody chaps. Go! Go! And find Keck and get that bloody watch.
Adrenaline hammered in my chest, a frantic drumbeat urging me forward. Young Nick and I exploded from the confines of the room, our boots pounding against the polished stone of the manor's main foyer. The vast space, usually echoing with a sense of forgotten grandeur, now felt charged with a desperate urgency. Just as we stumbled into the relative openness, two figures materialized from the shadows, Chris and Mike, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and grim determination that mirrored our own. The sight of them solidified the daunting reality. 4 teenagers, barely out of childhood, now stood as the last bulwark against a descent into unimaginable horror. The sheer improbability of it all hung heavy in the air, a suffocating blanket of responsibility. We locked eyes, a silent conversation passing between us in the tense stillness. A flicker of grim understanding acknowledged the perilous task ahead, followed by a shared, almost imperceptible nod. A fragile pact, forged in the crucible of fear, fueled by a burgeoning, white-hot fury that threatened to consume us. The ornate staircase leading to the manor's second level loomed before us, no longer a mere architectural feature but a gauntlet we had to run. Our path was now brutally clear, illuminated by the stark necessity of our actions. To hesitate was to invite disaster. We had to ascend, to climb into the heart of the darkness that had enveloped this place, and there, on that upper floor, we would face Keck. Once and for all. The air crackled with unspoken resolve, a fragile shield against the terror that awaited us. Every instinct screamed for flight, for the comforting embrace of safety, but the image of what Keck had done, what he threatened to do, burned in our minds, a potent fuel for the terrifying confrontation to come. This was not a game, this was the precipice, and we were poised to leap.